We all have those family members, right? You know, when your parents tell you the family is getting together for the night, and you ask who's going to be there, but it's not your favorite cousin. No, it's that one relative that makes your brain do a record scratch and a double take. So, if you can't relate, then congratulations. You either have normal relatives, or you're the crazy relative. I don't make the rules, it's one or the other. My family, though, they're insane. Not all of them. I mean, my aunt, my mom's sister. She had a lot of siblings growing up. It's honestly amazing she managed to survive with so many people in her house. My family is huge, and for the most part, if I'm being totally honest, the only crazy ones are my mom's older sister and my dad's parents. Usually, I'm definitely not the one to trash my family because, well, family is family and family sticks together. I live by that. I try to love and care for each person in my family because at the end of the day, if the rest of the world blew up in some ravaging apocalypse and the world got set on fire and everyone except my family died in some traumatic sequence of events, I'd be cool just being with them. Okay, most of them. We're going to get into the actual thrashing of my aunt, her family, and my grandparents. You know what's funny? They actually were not the worst when I was growing up either. I mean, I loved hanging out with all of my family when I was younger, but the older I got, the more off they seemed. The first thing I noticed between the two groups was that they were raging sexists, and that is super weird for my family. Let's put it this way. My grandmother was a powerhouse when she was a younger adult. My dad told all sorts of stories of how strong and independent she was. All of the cool things she would join her sons in doing, and all of the cool things she would do when my grandpa was gone at work. She even had her own multiple side hustles going on to make money for their houses. She did everything from selling clothes to making jewelry, to even taking engineering into her own hands and woodworking toys. Things like that. She also wrote. A lot. She's the reason I studied journalism. But you know the first thing she said to me the first time I brought up college searching and things I was looking at pursuing? This woman literally told me I shouldn't worry about it because my goal should be sitting down and making a husband happy. I was 15. That conversation did end up turning into an argument between my parents and her. Even my grandpa got into it. Yeah, it's honestly kind of sad. Even my dad talks about how independent she was when she was younger. It doesn't exactly make sense to any of us how the heck she turned into the one telling all the girls in the family that the reason we should be going to college is to find a smart man to settle down with. I mean, don't get me wrong, having a smart rich guy is great and all, but I want to be like, my own person? I know, shocking, right? So yeah, it's hard to get into conversations with my grandparents about my life anymore because it seems everything I say is a direct contradiction of their beliefs on how I should be. I stormed out of a room one time because they were talking to my brother Noah and I, and after basically knocking me down for deciding to go to college overseas, and how stupid I was being for not staying close to home and finding a man, they turned around and praised Noah for making a name for himself and exploring his surroundings for a better education. I almost screamed, and therefore could not continue with the rest of the conversation. Anyway, if you think that's bad, oh, wait until you meet my aunt and her family. They are, like my grandparents, pretty sexist. They were the first ones to pipe up and chastise me when everyone found out I was moving to France, and they've done a lot more than that. First of all, they are royal hypocrites. I literally cannot stand their kids. Nope, I refuse to be anywhere near them. They are the brattiest human beings on the face of this planet, and being in a room with them should be a form of psychological torture. I'm always trying to keep them from breaking things. They have no respect for any form of authority, and they whine and cry about everything. The oldest is literally 13. The youngest is 8, but even I was better behaved at 8 years old. My 8-year-old cousin still throws tantrums when my aunt and uncle don't buy her things she likes. But they somehow have the audacity to criticize every other parent in our family for the way they are raising their kids. It's either the fact that they let me have too much freedom, or Lucas isn't forced to talk enough. Okay, my brother Lucas has social anxiety. Like, It's a problem, and my parents are good to us, and they're good to him. And they don't force him to do anything that might give him anxiety attacks. He is comfortable around very few people, and we don't want to push him any farther than he can handle. But no, my aunt does not believe in that. Oh, that's another thing. Between my family and hers, my family is far more educated. Like, both of my parents have college degrees. My brothers and I do far better in school than my aunt and uncle probably could ever do. And yet, they're telling us that we need to be more educated. They are thoroughly convinced that they are smarter than us in every subject we disagree on. It's so infuriating. Of course, this led to me having a total showdown with my aunt because they wouldn't stop poking at Lucas and his social anxiety. I literally went up, down, around, and sideways trying to explain what social anxiety was and why it was totally a real thing. But of course, my aunt wasn't having it. No one can be smarter than her, right? Especially not her 17-year-old niece, right? She basically told me in response that Lucas just made it up because he doesn't like anyone and my parents are enablers. I lost it. We were at dinner and everyone was quietly trying to defend us and made Lucas feel comfortable. But I was so sick and tired of that woman, I swear. I sat straight up at the dinner table and started yelling at her. Everyone was just kind of staring at me in shock as I told off this woman. And in all honesty, nothing has felt more good than telling that woman she was the most disrespectful person I knew. Of course, I did end up getting a talk from my parents about why it wasn't really okay to lose my marbles on anyone like that under normal circumstances. But my mom did wink at me after the whole conversation was over. So yeah, those are my less than manageable relatives. I've got the normal ones though. You know, like the uncle that says he's totally a normal drinker, but is secretly just a really well-controlled alcoholic. Or the auntie that laughs too loud. The cousin that makes food so good that I kind of hate her because I gained 10 pounds after every family reunion. Seriously, she spends up to 7 hours in the kitchen the night before. She scares me. I couldn't stay on my feet for that long. But I know for a fact I'm not the only person that deals with this. 'Cause obviously, everyone's got a family. At least, most people do. Am I offending people now? Oh boy, I hope not. And anyway, even if I can barely stand to hold a conversation with my grandparents occasionally, and end up in a semi-screaming match with my aunt every time we breathe in the same vicinity, I still have a strange adoration for them. That's having a big family though. And the perks of a big family is I get to choose my favorites and avoid the ones I don't like. That's terrible. Please don't tell my family I said that. Anyway, that's life with crazy relatives.